Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Regulation 2016, Regulation 7.2, public announcement of areas to be opened up for petroleum activities. The Republic of Uganda, through the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, intends to open up new areas for petroleum activities. The new areas intended to be opened include Morotoka Dam, Lake Kyoga, and Hoima Basins, and are shown on the maps attached here too. In accordance with the Section 47, Clause 5 of the Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Act of 2013, this is to inform the general public that copies of the impact assessments conducted in relation to areas to be opened up can be obtained from the ministry at the following addresses: Office of the Commissioner, Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production, Level 4, Petroleum House, P.O. Box 9, Plot 21 to 29, Johnstone Road, Entebbe, on telephone +256 417 895522, and the website www.petroleum.go.ug. Signed by Stronius Okasai Opolot, Minister of State for Energy, also holding the portfolio for the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development. That announcement has actually been put into a statutory instrument. I'm going to sign it. And this makes it a sort of a regulation, a law, to enable you access these reports. Before that, I was not able to give you the reports. Now, by signing this one, the announcement, starting today, you can start acquiring these documents and start even providing a feedback, which should be within the 90 days. So I'm going to sign it today, the 14th day of November 2024. So I'm signing it, and the clock is starting to tick. Day number 1, number 2, 90 days, it is closed.
Announcing new areas to be opened for petroleum activities. The new areas are Morotoka Dam Basin with area coverage of 5,672 square kilometers, Hoima Basin with area coverage of 3,741 square kilometers, and lastly Lake Kyoga Basin covering 7,831 square kilometers. The maps are projected on the screen in sliding motion. Distinguished participants, the country is endowed with numerous sedimentary basins. These include Alberton Graben, which has been comprehensively investigated, and where we are going into development and production of Telenga and Kingfisher fields. We have Morotoka Dam Basin, Kyoga Basin, Hoima Basin, Lake Victoria Basin, Wamala Basin. You may ask yourselves why Lake Wamala and Victoria Basins are not included in this occasion. These, during preliminary investigations, were found to be very shallow, meaning that the chances of finding hydrocarbons in these two basins are very slim. The Alberton Graben, like I mentioned, has been found to be more prospective because it has been more investigated. Preliminary studies in the frontier basins started way back in 1990s, and this indicated that the three basins I've mentioned were found to have properties which may help to generate, accumulate the hydrocarbons. So that's why we are here to launch these basins. It was found out that the aeromagnetic survey, which was a part of this work, indicated that the basin could have more than 2 kilometers of sedimentary section. Ladies, sedimentary section comprises of soft rocks, and that's where hydrocarbons is generated. So to us, to the countries, this is very important. The thicker it is, the more important it is, because that means that the pressure and temperature will be optimal to generate hydrocarbons. Distinguished participants, also following the licensing in the country during the 1990s, commercial quantities of oil and gas in the Albertine Graben were confirmed. To be specific, 2006, that is the year the country recognized that we have commercial quantities of oil and gas. Further concerted exploration and appraisal campaigns by the licensed companies led to date the resource base estimated at 6.5 billion barrels of oil in place, of which 1.4 billion barrels are recoverable. So we are talking of something like 28 to 30% recovery factor. But the efforts, of course, is to enhance the recovery of the hydrocarbon. There are initiatives undertaken by the licensed companies to ensure the recovery factor is improved. We also have natural gas, and this is estimated at 500 billion cubic feet. Suffice to say that the discovery we have made to date is in less than 20% of the Albertine Graben. So we still have 80% of Albertine Graben. Government, through the Ministry of Energy, has issued 9 production licenses to the international oil companies operating in the Albertine Graben. That is in 2012 to CNOOC, Uganda Limited. 2016, that was to Taro, which later, of course, farmed out to Total and CNOOC. Therefore, to facilitate the development and later production of discovered oil and gas reserves, government and international oil companies in 2014 entered into a memorandum of understanding in order to commercialize the discovered resources. The commercialization options agreed in the MOU included in-country refining, export of crude, and use of crude oil to generate power. The current resources will be produced at peak level for not more than 5 years during the life cycle of the production license, which is 25 years. So members, if no additional resources are established, the costly infrastructure and associated facilities that are being put in place may not be utilized at optimal economic levels. Ladies and gentlemen, government is therefore implementing strategic measures to address the imminent risk of getting shortage of petroleum resources during the life cycle of the infrastructures. and also to minimize the risk of having the infrastructures as white elephants. These measures include conducting all further exploration by licensed companies, following award of licenses, and opening up of new basins, that is frontier basins, for additional exploration. Government, through its first competitive licensing round, granted 3 exploration licenses to Olanto Limited over Ngasa Shallow and Ngasa Deep Praise, and Ama Energy Limited over Kanywantaba Block in 2017. For the same reasons, government, through the second competitive licensing round, granted exploration licenses to DGR Global of Australia over the Turako area and Uganda National Oil Company over the Kasarban area. That was 2023. A third licensing round is being planned to be launched in 2025. 3 basins for petroleum activities has several benefits to the country. It will among pave the way for the detailed and more definitive exploration for improvement of the petroleum source base and contribute to sustainability of oil production as well as economic viability of the infrastructures. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to provide the genesis and preparation of the impact assessment of frontier basins.
I'm delighted to be here today to bring you good news in the petroleum sector. In accordance with the law, I will be announcing new areas to be opened up for petroleum exploration activities and also seeking your views on these areas before we declare the areas open for petroleum activities. In the 3 areas of Morotoka Dam Basin, Lake Kyoga Basin, and Hoima Basin, the PS has elaborated on these areas a while ago, and he provided the technical aspects of the discovery of hydrocarbons in the 3 areas a while ago, which as a country we should feel proud of, since possible additional petroleum resource has been discovered as a result of further exploration, and this will result in enormous benefits, among which is sustainability of the production and economic benefits to our country. Allow me first to thank the entire team of the Department of Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production for collecting preliminary geological, geochemical and geophysical data that made it possible to determine the potential and worthiness of these 3 basins for further exploration. Special thanks go to the ministers in the sector, the permanent secretary, and the entire staff of the ministry for a job well done so far. Special thanks go to the NRM government, led by our visionary leader, His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who over time has strongly supported the development of the country's natural resources, and more specifically, oil and gas. The development of our natural resources is intended to increase our revenues and therefore economic development of our country. As you are aware, the government is putting in place all the required infrastructure necessary for oil and gas production by 2026. The global outlook and drive are to fight climate negative effects by reducing the greenhouse gas emissions and reach net zero carbon emissions as soon as possible. The drive involves transiting from non-renewable, which include fossils and petroleum, to renewables in the near future. However, due to increased uses of the petroleum products for transportation, fuel oils, heating and electricity generation, asphalt and road oils, and feedstocks for making the chemicals, plastics, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, explosives, and synthetic materials. Petroleum resource may therefore not lose value in the face of the energy transition and climate change considerations in the next 50 years. So this should give us comfort. We shall continue exploring, and there will be market for our petroleum. So we must therefore move ahead to develop our natural resource. That said, ladies and gentlemen, due consideration to sustainable exploration, exploitation, commercialization and utilization of Uganda's petroleum resources will remain top of our government agenda. That is a reason why the government formulated the National Oil and Gas Policy of 2008 and attendant legislation entailing the Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Act 2013, the Petroleum Refining, Conversion, Transition and Midstream Storage Act 2013, and associated regulations relating to environment and water. The PS has elaborated on the technical preliminary work conducted in the 3 basins and the impact assessment studies undertaken. Please allow me to expound on the financial implications and potential benefits to the country following the detailed petroleum activities, discovery of petroleum, and commercialization of petroleum resources in these 3 basins. Include 1. Revenue generation from sharing of speculators' profits from sale of data accruing from the reconnaissance surveys that the Commissioner the Permanent Secretary talked about. Application fees, licensing fees, data sales, and signatory bonuses from exploration licensing rounds. Should commercial discoveries be made, the country will benefit from royalty, profit of oils, and various taxes. These petroleum revenues will also be used for in funding various government development projects and programs, boosting agriculture, tourism, among others. Optimization of use of the infrastructure, that's number 2. 2. Optimization of use of infrastructure and facilities being developed, such as the refinery, the East African crude oil pipeline, oil roads, bridges, and the international airports that are already being built, like Kabalega Airport in Hoima and the forthcoming development of Kidepo International Airports. C, which is 3, enhancement of national content through the participation of more Ugandans in the oil and gas sector. It is expected that more Ugandans will be engaged through employment and provision of goods and services during the exploration activities. I call upon the public and all Ugandans to access and study the impact assessment reports for the Moroto, Kadam, Lake Yoga, and Hoima basins and send I'll repeat this one. I call upon the population and the public to access and study the impact assessment reports of Morotoka Dam, Lake Kyoga, and Hoima Basins and review them and provide a feedback within the statutory 90 days after the public announcement. After this announcement, the reports are going to be available. I urge the population to study. There are 3 reports in front of me. There is one for Kadam, there is one for Kyoga, and there is another for Hoima Basins. Study them, review the contents, give a feedback within 90 days, which are provided for by law. If you don't provide that feedback within the 90 days, it will be too late for us to accept because the provision is by law. So try to work within the 90 days from today. The PAS has clearly indicated how to acquire the reports digitally through the petroleum website, which he provided, and also on flash disks. The public views are to be channeled to the office of the Minister of Energy and Petroleum, Energy and Mineral Development, PO Box 7270, Kampala. You may also seek the ministry website and provide a feedback through those channels. It is therefore my pleasure to make this public announcement that will eventually bring in new exploration investments for the betterment of our country and call upon the public to access the reports and provide inputs within the statutory time which I mentioned earlier. Finally, this work was not done only by the ministry. There were development partners that supported the ministry to do this activity, the preliminary work. Notably, the government of Norway provided an input and supported the ministry to undertake the preliminary studies. I wish to thank them, among others, who worked with us to develop these reports. I wish to appreciate the cooperation of the local governments that we went through. At one time when the planes were flying so low, people thought their land was being surveyed and government was going to take their land. I appreciate the cooperation, and I request all the Ugandans to continue giving that cooperation, because more work is actually going to be done in the basins. There are going to be exploration of those basins. You'll see the technical staff coming. You'll also see the investors. Let's cooperate to deliver what we have set to do, and also looking into a bigger picture, what the country will benefit if we get this. All the infrastructure, economic benefits will actually be utilized sustainably. Otherwise, we risk putting infrastructure which will become obsolete without us benefiting maximally from it, like the eco pipeline, like the refinery which we are building. If we don't do this, within 25 years or so, the oil production will start going down and that infrastructure will go into waste.
So this is Morotoka Dam Basin, which the public needs to get the cover.
Basin, which I talked about, you should access it. It is going to be on the website, but you can also...
Yeah, Honorable Minister, lastly is to present to you the public announcement template for your signature in the face of media, so that from now, the public can.
You're done? Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Honorable Minister.